Okay, welcome back. Now, to get us started in our setup, one of the things that you're going to want to do when you first get the application, obviously taking a nice little tour around the app is a really good idea, but you'll be working with your marketing representative here at Atlas headquarters to help you get your application set up quickly. We've done a lot of work to make it very intuitive and very easy to get the application set up for your specific school. Now, Atlas is a very robust application. We're giving you tools so that you can track nearly every metric in your business: class attendance, student progression, agreements, finances, statistics on sales, retention stats, all of these very robust and important pieces of data. And obviously with any program, with any piece of software, with any piece of automation, it all depends on how good the information going into the system is, right? So we want to make sure that we get this set up appropriately for you and that it's accurate to the way you run your school. Now, we've built a very robust, customizable back end in Atlas so that you can set up the application the way your school operates. We are not forcing you to run your school the way the software works, right? Which is a big issue in our industry, mostly because the folks in our industry to date haven't perhaps had the broad-based expertise in how different types of schools work, but also it's just difficult to program this way. It's difficult to make an application that can be as extensible as this one is and as customizable as this one is. So here's how this works. We're going to go into, on the left sidebar, toward the bottom here, you'll see a little setup icon. Click that, and you'll see School Setup. So I'm going to click that, and that'll take me over to my core school settings. And this is where you'll sort of set up your school's profile and all of the settings for the software on the back end. So you might take some time in this top area here to make sure all of this is accurate and to kind of, doctor up whatever you think is useful. You can add a picture of your location if you want, or perhaps even your picture if that's what you want to do. You can click the little pencil there, and that'll take you to a photo picker that you can pick a photo. And then all of these, your office number, mobile number, fax, email address, location, things like that, you can click Edit School, and you can fill out all that information here. And you would want that to be pretty robust and complete. We're going to use that information to merge into reports and to emails and things like that for you. So you would want to make sure that that information is as accurate and up-to-date as humanly possible. Including, by the way, your school website and the directions to your location. That's very useful for you to pop in here because you're gonna have the ability to include that into some of the pieces of content that you could send to prospects or to students. So it's useful if you put that information in there. You'll be able to use that later. If it's not there, obviously you won't be able to use it. So the more complete that this is, the better. If you're going to use the attendance taker, this is if you're going to use the fingerprint attendance or one of those applications to take attendance, you'll download the little app here. That is an additional piece of software that you have to install into the system. And you should talk to your marketing representative about that if you have any questions. That does tend to be challenging for some folks because it does depend on your computer configuration, but we can help you through a lot of that very easily. So give our guys a call at the office if you need help with that. So let's take a look at our styles, programs, classes, teams, test dates, etc. These are all the settings inside of the software so that you can set your school up the way your school works, right? And you'll be able to use these groups in very robust ways. The highest level organization for organizing your students is by style, okay? And a style would be, includes how your ranks work. So inside of a style are your ranks. And for example, if you have a martial arts school and you teach, let's say you teach Taekwondo and Aikido, right? Or Taekwondo and Muay Thai, or Taekwondo and MMA, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Shotokan Karate, whatever the case is. These obviously have unique rank structures that are associated with them. So under styles, the first thing I'm going to do is set up my style. So I'm going to go to create a new style. Now, we do have some style templates that you can copy that address many of the more common types of martial arts where we've already set up belt structures for you that you can go in and easily tweak. this is just a tool to help save you some time. But I'm going to go ahead and start one from scratch. So I'm just going to say group actions, new style. And I'm going to call this style, let's see, I've already got Taekwondo. Let's do Tong Sudo. I'm an old Tong Sudo guy from forever ago, so I'm going to create Tong Sudo. I hit save, and my little Tong Sudo guy pops up here, right? Lets me know that I got it correct, save successfully, and here's my Tong Sudo guy. Now under Tong Sudo, I can copy the style, edit the style, or delete the style. I'm going to edit the style because I want to add some ranks, right? Inside that style, we've already created one default rank called first rank, right? So I'm going to edit that rank. I'm going to click action and edit that rank. And let's call this 9th GUP white belt, something like that. The rank levels, you can assign a unique number to this so that you can order them that way. You can name and level them separately. It kind of depends on how your school operates, so that's up to you. The number of classes in rank and the number of weeks in rank are important if you're going to use our testing eligibility engine. And I'd recommend that you do. You can always go back later and change these things. It's very simple. But you can set up a logic. What this is doing is setting up a logic in the system that says a student must have X number of classes as a white belt in order to be eligible for the next rank, whatever that might be. And this also says they have to have a certain number of weeks in rank to be eligible to test for the next rank. Now, in my particular locations, in my schools, they must have 16 classes. So I'm going to put that in there. Now, I don't necessarily require a number of weeks because they could, for example, if they missed a week or if they were behind a week, I exam every 2 months. So they could catch up on their classes but not have met that number of weeks. So I'm going to put 0 because I don't want to require that. Now, if you don't want to require the number of classes either, you could just put 0 there and you're fine, right? So it won't count that. But in my particular case, I do want to make absolutely sure that every student has at least 16 class credits. And I don't care how many weeks that takes them necessarily, but I want to make sure they have 16 class credits. Right, so that's up to you. Many schools use 0, 0 and just move them through the ranks as they manually as they choose or in batch. But that's kind of up to you. And again, you may want to chat with your marketing representative at headquarters about that. We've done this, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times with different styles, with different requirements, and we can kind of talk through with you the logic that you want to create in the system. But in general terms, this is, do I want to require a minimum number of classes to be eligible for the next rank? And do I want to require a number of weeks as well? So I'm going to put 0, 0 now for now just to be, easy, and hit save. So now I have my first rank. I should be all set. Yeah, and it does refresh for me. So now I'm going to create another rank. So I go to my top action button. This action button applies just to that rank, right? I'm going to go to this top action button and add a new belt. And I'm going to call this 8th GUP orange. And again, I'm going to say 0, 0 because I don't want to require that in this particular argument. Again, in my schools, I would require 16. But again, I'm going to make it easy and just do 0, 0 and go from there, hit save. And I get my 8th GUP orange, and then I'm going to create another belt. Let's say 7th GUP yellow. And again, I'm going to say 0 and 0 just for argument's sake. Okay, good enough for now. I can go back in there and work on that. Now, there's in many schools, there are additional steps between major ranks, between belts. Some schools call them tips, some call them stripes, some call them chevrons, whatever they might be. But for our intents and purposes, we're going to call them a tip. So inside of 9th GUP white belt, I require in my school 4 tips, 4 stripes, 4 physical curriculum stripes. That they have to earn. So in here, I'm going to add a tip in my 9th GUP white belt, and I'm going to call this the black tip. And for me, that's for their, let's say, for example, their form, their hyung. Right? And again, does it require a certain number of classes? Does it require a certain number of weeks? Some schools do that. Some schools you must be a, for example, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you must be a red tip for 6 months before you can exam, or whatever the case might be. And again, this is flexible to be able to function the way you want it to function. In my case, the tips for me don't have a specific number of classes or a specific number of weeks, so I'm going to put 0, 0, just like I did with the ranks. But again, that's up to you. All that's completely customizable to how your school operates. Now, again, so now you see I have my tip. So I'm going to add another tip. I'm going to add a white tip. It's a white stripe for me. Tip, and that is for their self-defense techniques, and again 0 and 0. Now again, some schools the tip is a time-based thing. In mine it's not, but some it is, and again you can set that. For me, it's about not knowing a certain piece of their curriculum to advance. But again, you can customize this however you want it to be. And this is enough for now. This is good enough for me for now to be able to show you what I want to show you in the ranking section. So this is how we'll do that. We'll go through and set up all of our belt ranks, and you can typically move through this pretty quickly. Now let's say I make a mistake. Let's say this 7th cup yellow was actually supposed to be above orange. I made a mistake in some way. I can actually just click this up arrow, and it'll move it up there for me, right? And then I can go in and customize that if I want to, right? I can go and edit the name if I like, or I can just move it back down the way I had it to begin with. That's up to you. And that's a pretty kind of handy way if you ever add belts or add colors or add stripes or whatever the case might be. You can do that here. So that is how you set up your, under school settings, that is how you set up your styles. The ranks live inside the styles. Okay? Hope that's useful for you. We'll move on in the next video to our programs and more. See you then. Thanks.